The great outdoors in the Las Vegas Valley often look like this: playgrounds, soccer fields, dog parks, and walking trails. But this is no ordinary park. This is a flood control basin, and facilities like this are a growing example of how one of the best kept secrets in Clark County is one of the best stories to tell. The Desert Breeze Regional Park is first and foremost a flood control facility. But as detention basins and flood channels are built around our valley, designers and engineers are coming up with new and innovative ways to use these public areas on the days when there's no rain. One of the best examples is the area where all flood control channels in the valley flowed just before spilling into Lake Mead. Wetlands Park definitely doesn't look like flood control.
We are able to move the water from A to B in a manner which mimics the native process, which then allows us to restore the habitat and attract the wildlife, but also it allows folks to come out and enjoy nature, whether it's photography, birding, running, cycling. We're able to mix those uses and do it in a safe and effective manner, so we get more bang for our buck out here.
All of the water that runs through here is attracting an amazing array of animals.
We have your normal desert dwellers, like your roadrunners, your cottontail, rabbits, all your small mammals. But we also have some species that folks may not tend to think about when they're in the Las Vegas desert. We do have beavers out here that have made their way up from Lake Mead or the Colorado River, and they make their home here.
Beavers are a good indicator that the environment is healthy. Dams create more opportunity for other animals to use that water. But of course, keeping the water flowing means maintenance crews are frequently taking down what the beavers put up. Just to the east of Wetlands Park is a growing system of walking and biking trails. Kevin Eubanks, who recently retired as Assistant General Manager of the district, had a major hand in creating the dual-use policy that sparked creation of recreation facilities near flood projects.
The best way to design dual use is from the beginning. So if you envision the flood control and the dual use at the same time, it always works out better. So we wanted to make sure that in our project presentations that our public works departments, who actually design and build and own these projects, were thinking about that from the beginning, and they could identify those opportunities early on.
Now that he's retired, Eubanks could ride the trails during the week and on most days too.
If we don't forget that their primary use is flood control, and when there's a flood, it's very dangerous. If we don't forget that, 90% of the time, that's not happening. So you can use our flood control corridors, where we put all of our stuff, very safely and very enjoyably. But when it does rain, you got to remember to make good choices and stay safe.
The district's biggest project includes reconstruction of an existing golf course with the Las Vegas Wash and Flamingo Wash running through it.
I know the people enjoy it most of the time. Very rarely do you have to worry about a flood event there because we've been fortunate, we've had good weather, but that's its purpose, to keep everything in that area contained whenever there's floodwaters.
We were able to position the golf cart paths to be up outside the 100-year flood event and provided emergency exit locations up to Sahara Bridge in case there is a storm event. We have a plan in place for early warnings for golfers. In the event that there's a rain in the watershed, they'll be alerted and we can get people off the course and to safety. But it creates an excellent opportunity to combine flood control with parks.
These are the types of flood control facilities that most people see. And whether you're playing soccer, out on your bike, or walking on one of the trails, there's tons of places to get outside and recreate.
It's as simple as just putting your shoes on and walking out your door. It's the simplest way that you can just get out there and enjoy our valley. You don't need anything fancy. You need a bottle of water with you. I always advise that, and a little bit of sunscreen, maybe a hat. But just find a trail close to you. There are so many. You can go to outsidelasvegas.org to find trails, or neontonature.org to find trails, and just start exploring.
There are hundreds of miles of trails, and Outside Las Vegas is working to connect them and connect people to them. You can get a map or find a trail online at outsidelasvegas.org or neontonature.org.
I think of it as the Tahoe Rim Trail for the Vegas Valley. Tahoe Rim Trail might have Lake Tahoe in the middle. We've got our neon in the middle. It encircles the valley. It celebrates everything that we have. It connects our urban trail system. It connects it to the rural trail system. Eventually, it's going to be 100 miles plus around the valley. And there's already been quite a bit established. And to me, it's also a celebration of the partnership amongst all the different jurisdictions. It's just incredible to see everybody working together to make this happen, to make the larger trail system of 1,000 plus miles happen, and then to have this great Vegas Valley Rim Trail that will someday connect them all.
The Outside Las Vegas Foundation is working with Edwards Elementary School to create a mural along the Cedar Drainage Channel and Trail.
We do see a lot of kids going to and from schools. A lot of the trails in the valley go past schools or community centers. That's a huge plus. I think it's really important that in this desert landscape we actually talk about what these flood channels do for us, what they provide, and how it's basically tied to our overall ecosystem.
Wetlands Park really ties it all together. The park encourages people to get out and walk or bike. It celebrates World Wetlands Day right here in the desert. And thousands of school kids come here to learn about the diverse ecosystems and how to keep the desert clean. It's important to realize that litter gets into storm drains and works its way to Lake Mead. Those who use the trails often help clean them and report problems, but mostly they just love being outside.
I walk them, I bike them. I have a couple of dogs. One of the things I do every single morning is I walk my dogs on the trails where I live, and I get to see my neighbors and talk to my neighbors. And to me, that's part of what really makes community. The buildings are buildings, but the trails are the thread that links the fabric together. And it's what makes you feel that you really live somewhere. You see people as you walk around and you experience this place, not just in a car, but like right now where we're standing here and you have the wind going through your hair and you've got the trees around you, and it's just a completely different experience of living here in the Las Vegas Valley.
When there's not a flood, it's a great place to play. So I've seen a lot of trails come up. We've got the Las Vegas Wash Trail, the River Mountain Loop Trail, and the Flamingo Wash Trail through town is now starting to be discovered by a lot of cyclists. So it seems to be a natural fit between flood control being right where people like to be, and the trail system being able to go through those corridors safely when there's not a flood.
And knowing that you can go outside for free and walk in one of your county or city parks and be able to do things that affect your, you can lose weight, you get a sense of peace from being outside in a good environment, and the fact that you've worked on your lungs, your heart, losing weight, diabetes, all of those things that affect not just your physical self but your spiritual self, just because you've had an opportunity to recreate in a peaceful environment.
The Wetlands Park really is nature close to home here in the Las Vegas Valley. I would tell parents that we're a great resource for them to teach their kid about environmental and social responsibility as they come out here and learn about where our water comes from, where our water goes, learn about the importance of nature and wildlife and habitat. And because we're free and we're open, 361 days a year, they can come out anytime and enjoy us time and time again.
Multiple use has taken on a new meaning at the massive construction project at the Desert Rose Golf Course. Now, multiple partners are putting their heads together to make the community safer and complete the largest project in the district's history.
This is by far the largest project the district has ever undertaken. It's over $100 million. It's 3 times more than our previous largest project financially. And just a lot of different players and a lot of different materials, equipment, replacing bridges. It's a little bit of everything all in one area, but a very important area of the community.
2/3 of the Las Vegas Valley watershed drains through the 2 washes at this golf course. This is a very complex project involving dozens of partners. You could say that it's all hands on deck.
We're talking about 2 of the biggest washes in town, the Las Vegas Wash and the Flamingo Wash, and a confluence between those 2 right in the Desert Rose Golf Course. We have a 120 square mile tributary area to this project, which means if it rains anywhere in that 120 square miles, that flow is going to run off to these washes that we're talking about here. So it's a big project. It's the main wash through town. We're dealing with thousands of CFS in a 100-year storm event. And to make it more complicated, we're within existing right-of-way, and the wash is surrounded by existing development. So we're really pinned down in what our solutions can be to fix the flooding problems.
Mother Nature didn't let anyone take their time with Desert Rose. In 2012, heavy rains led to a horrible flood at the golf course. The fairways were under a lot of water, and the flood spilled out of the course and onto backyards and homes nearby. And tragically, a landscaper working at the course was swept away by floodwaters and killed. To speed up construction, the district agreed to a Construction Manager at Risk project, or a CMAR.
Yes, normally in a normal design bid build process, we have to design plans to full 100% level, and then we bid them out. This way we bring them in at 30%. He helps us with the design. Then he can get implemented on earlier stages, which is what we started on this project. And so we start construction a lot earlier than we would through a normal design bid build process.
This decision has sped up the process, and more importantly, even though construction is still ongoing, residents of the area will be better protected from floods when flash flood season starts this summer.
We were able to do early excavation and allow the channel to be deepened and widened early on in the process to avoid having any more flood incidents. By potentially waiting another year to get this project underway, we were able to provide more flood protection for the residents in the area.
We actually closed the course in June of last year to the public, but we did maintain the grounds in order to keep that grass growing and keep it beautiful to look at. After all, people enjoy the golf course not just for golfing, but as a natural green space outside their homes.
The project has a $150 million price tag, and it's being broken up into different phases to allow it to all come together. First, Las Vegas paving crews dug out the course and tore down the Sahara Avenue Bridge over the wash. The future phases will involve work with the City of Las Vegas.
The flood control component is 2 miles, roughly, of concrete lined channel north of Charleston, from Charleston to Bonanza. That project by itself will remove 60 homes from the flood zone, so we're very excited about that. It's a huge priority for us to protect our residents along the Las Vegas Wash. It also will help us to address localized neighborhood flooding in that region as well, so we're excited about that component.
Designers had to relocate the sewer to add flood capacity, so the city decided it made sense to increase the size at the same time.
The way that we can work together with the county and hit those residents just one time, as opposed to tearing up the region to do a flood control project and then coming back a year or so later to do a sanitary sewer project, we felt it was better. Even though it took a little bit more effort to work with everyone, we thought it was better for the public if we took those extra steps to ensure less construction impacts.
Crews have already laid sod to give the grass time to set and grow before the summer rains come. A reinforced turf is being used to aid in flood control.
When you have a brand new course, you want to have some beautiful space to go into. And although our golfers may not need something huge like wedding receptions in there, they still want to be able to sit down, be comfortable, and have a place to relax either before or after your golf game. So our idea for the clubhouse is to open up part of the back there, even to make the golf course even more visible, with lots of windows and maybe a nice patio area.
The last phase will involve improvements in the wash north of the golf course, all the way from Bonanza to Nellis Boulevard. The city will also work on a trail project from Charleston to Stewart to connect existing trails.
We recognize all of the pedestrian activity over there, and if you have a trail on one side of a road and a trail on the other side of the road, how are the pedestrians going to get across? So we're providing a pedestrian bridge to ensure that they can get across the road, Charleston, it's a major corridor, safely and continue along their path. This is the largest project that I've worked on, and it's been very exciting, and I think it's great just to see all the teamwork and really see everybody come to the table to figure out how we can resolve our challenges.
This is an extremely exciting project for those working on it. It's fast-paced and it's already grabbing attention. Recently, it was named one of the top 25 construction starts in the Southwest.
It's exciting that this project can be on a list of the top 25 that are recognized in the Southwest. A lot of the other projects are renewable energy, solar, there's some wind energy. We have a couple casino projects that made it on the list, as well as some university projects, some hospital projects. So it's really great that a public works project going on in the Las Vegas Valley can be part of that list.
The entire project will be finished next November, but different phases will be done sooner. The district views this project as an investment in our society.
We're protecting life and property. And while it may seem like a lot of money, it's for generations to come. And I don't know how you put a value on a life, and that's one thing I've struggled with my whole career here. Sure, you can put value on a structure being damaged or what it costs to buy flood insurance, but what is the actual value of a life? And I know that this project in the long run and for generations to come will be there to protect lives.
We have all seen the devastation that floods can cause to homes and lives in Clark County. Has your neighborhood or home ever been affected by major storms? Federal flood insurance is a smart and cost-effective investment if you think your home is vulnerable. Some easy-to-understand assessments can help determine if you need flood insurance. Call your insurance agent or call 1-888-CALL-FLOOD or visit the Regional Flood Control District's website for guidance. See if flood insurance makes sense for you.
In the northwest part of the valley, massive flood control improvements are underway to bring safety to residents who saw a major flood last summer on Grand Teton Drive. Last summer's flash flood season pounded the northwest neighborhood of Providence, turning Grand Teton Drive into a raging river. And today, construction crews are making huge progress to complete another piece of the flood control system.
If you remember the Carpenter 1 fire of last year and then the rain that ensued after that, almost 6 inches of rain in less than 3 hours, and then the outfall into the Kyle Canyon Detention Basin. This is another piece of that puzzle that we're putting together for in the Regional Flood Control District. This piece will tie into the other piece on the east side of US 95, but it will take all those flows that came from that last flood underground and protect this area greatly.
Last August, water rushed down Grand Teton for 3 days because facilities were not yet in place to carry this water from Kyle Canyon Detention Basin. It looked terrible, but what could have been 9,000 cubic feet of water per second on the road was actually 300 cubic feet per second.
If that detention basin weren't here, we likely would have had major loss of property. We would have had likely loss of life if people are up here. It was potentially a catastrophic event.
They see these detention basins and they don't understand, especially if you're new to Las Vegas and you don't quite understand why we have these great big basins. They're to catch those 100-year flows. We're not prepared for a 150-year flow, and that's kind of what we had. If Kyle Canyon Detention Basin wasn't there, this area of Providence would have been gone. Remember, no one lost their lives in that last flood and no properties were lost.
2 projects on Grand Teton Drive are going to take most of the water from future storms underground and out of sight. Huge box culverts are being placed under the road from Wallapai to TP. This part of the project is being built by Meadow Valley Construction. It has a $7 million price tag, and it should be done by October. Another $11 million project is underway from Mountain Spa to Durango. Crews from Las Vegas Paving are connecting the system 1 box at a time.
Okay, if we look at the last 6 years from 2008 to present day, okay, the Flood Control District has invested over $100 million worth of flood control infrastructure just in this area. We've had 12 projects, probably 10 or 11 miles of underground storm drain and open channel, 2 detention basins, okay, that allowed for development to come in, and we caught up with it. So this area is a high priority to the Regional Flood Control and to the City of Las Vegas.
About $100 million has been spent in the Northwest on 12 projects, including 2 detention basins and 11 miles of channel.
When this area was developing, a lot of the flood control infrastructure was being built by development, okay? Now, when the housing market tanked, when things got bad in the Great Recession, okay, development stopped, and this piece of storm drain between TP and Grand Canyon
or Hualapai and Teepee, well, it was planned to be built by private development. Okay, development stopped, so this piece did not get built.
Last summer's storm dumped more than 4 inches of rain right over the burned area out at Mount Charleston. None of that water could soak in and rush like a water slide all the way down the mountain and into the detention basin. Imagine a football field taller than the stratosphere. That's how much water came into that basin at once. And when it drained out on Grand Teton, it caused a mess.
It was a river with vicious rocks piling up in many places. If you recall, a week or two prior to that flood, we had gotten that brown gooky stuff that came out of the scorched area on the mountains. We were prepared for that to happen again. We were not prepared for 6 inches of rain. And I want to make sure you understand, 6 inches of recordable rain. It possibly rained more in other locations that we're unaware of. But that flow was tremendous. This Grand Teton was a river. It closed US 95. It closed every intersection along this path into North Las Vegas. Those flows traveled 25 miles into North Las Vegas.
Additional projects in the future will link the system all the way downstream and keep the water off the roads. For now, drive safely as the much-needed improvements are getting built.
Mind the road. Flash flood season is here.
With flash flood season approaching, the district has tools to put flood safety right into your own hands. You'll know all about flash flood warnings as soon as they happen with our smartphone application, FloodSpot. It's available free for Apple and Android devices. The app gives you up-to-the-minute information about flooding and allows you to report flooded roadways and clogged storm drains. There's also a game that can teach your kids how to stay flood safe. To see live rainfall levels and see what facilities have water in them, you can use our rainfall map found on our website, www.regionalflood.org. That map gives you live rainfall and water level data throughout the county and lets you see images of roadways that may be impacted. You can also add layers to show weather radar and flood district facilities. When a storm warning is issued, it's easy for you to see where the rain is occurring. Just head to our website, www.regionalflood.org, and select rainfall maps. Flash flood season begins July 1st, so it's important to remember that anyone can buy flood insurance, regardless of if you live in a flood zone or not. But it takes 30 days for a policy to take effect, so the time to consider purchasing flood insurance is right now. You can find more information about flood insurance on our website, www.befloodsafe.com. You can even use a tool to help you find an agent to sell you that protection. That's going to do it for this edition of the Flood Channel. For more information about the stories you saw today, head to www.regionalflood.org and find us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. And remember to download the FloodSpot app today to stay flood safe this summer.